Huntington Hotel in sunny Southern California. Oh, and I do want to say that we did have a little bit of audio problems with the Skype interface of the interview, so please bear with us on the audio. Thank you. And with me to share is my awesome co-host, Valerie Garcia. How are you?
Hey, Philip. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I cannot wait to hear your stories, your travels today. There's so much I want to hear. I just want to walk with you in all of the glory of what you've experienced. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm kind of teasing it. And I just want to remind all of our listeners that Tennis Pal Chronicles is sponsored by Tennis Pal, the best app to find people to play with. So visit tennispal.com, download the app, and find people in your area. Just enter your zip code, do a search, send a message, and there you have it. You can find people to play with. It's such a great app.
It's the best. On my home screen.
Hey, Valerie. So I have some exciting news to share with our listeners as well.
Oh, I can't wait to hear.
Yeah, LoveSetMatch has now become a full-fledged nonprofit community organization.
Oh, that's so awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm super excited and completely afraid because I've never run a nonprofit before. I've been a part of many nonprofits as marketing and promotions and events and all that stuff, but actually, kind of trying to do it ourselves is a little bit daunting, but hopefully with your support and all my friends and everyone who's out there listening, their support, we can spread the love of tennis in Southern California and beyond.
Yes, I have absolute 100% faith in you.
So I'm super excited to just invite people to be a part of it. It was really exciting to get that IRS letter that's called the Letter of Determination, which says that I can now receive donations, and hopefully we're going to use those donations to build great programming for tennis in Southern California. Because I feel like, especially for unreached kids, kids who don't have an opportunity to play tennis, not necessarily because they don't want to, but I think there's just no chance for them to get experience with it, right? So like we ran the programs in East LA this summer. It was awesome partnering with LA County. We gave away free tennis lessons for kids that came to the program, and some adults came too. We were hoping it was going to be family tennis, kids with their family. And I think it was kind of a cool first-time experience for a lot of the people that came. And some kids were just naturally talented, and that's what's always so exciting is to meet a girl or a boy who they pick up a racket. You start playing with them, maybe with a lighter compression ball or foam ball. They can actually bounce the ball 10, 15 times. They have good hand-eye coordination. They can kind of carry on 2 or 3 stroke rally over the net with a lighter compression ball. And it just shows that, wow, it's not as hard to access as a lot of people think.
That's so cool. You're really doing amazing work. Because it's so important for us to get, tennis out there in the community.
Yeah, and for me, tennis is the vehicle, but really what I'm hoping to spread is the education aspect of it, because there's so much to tennis that really enriches your life, not just the game of tennis, but, like understanding spin, understanding the speed of the ball, understanding the grip of the racket is all like physics and math, and understanding how to read a ball, how to move with the body, how to move with it. So I'm really hoping to incorporate and create some curriculum that helps people understand how they can extend their learning hours from the classroom to the court and turn our program into not just tennis, but education and fitness, health education as well.
That's amazing.
Lots of ideas, me.
Yes. Philip, the great achiever. I love it.
I don't know about achieving, but at least I'm reaching, doing my best. But it's really exciting, and be talking a lot about it in the future. And even revamping, the website, LoveSetMatch. Now it's lovesetmatch.org so that people can go to, which is exciting. And lots of things to come. So we'll talk about that later as well. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
Doing good. Feel good. Ready to rock and roll. How about you?
I'm doing good. It's November. It feels like there's a little bit of lull in tennis right now, in professional tennis, even though there's not. It's just that there's no kind of big grand slam to look forward to, right?
Well, I might just have to disagree with you right there, as I am sitting here as we speak watching Swiatek play Kazatkina at the WTA finals, her first round robin match. And I just watched Stan Wawrinka and Holger Rune play at the opening round of the Paris 1000.
Yeah, that was really exciting
tournament.
to see that they're in Paris. It kind of shocked me when I saw it on YouTube, and I was like, oh my gosh, Paris just started. So it shows that I've just been too occupied.
You have been too occupied, but it also kind of like snuck up, you know, like there was kind of like nothing. And then it was like, oh my gosh, yesterday, all of a sudden there's like all this tennis on. It's like, whoa. So I'm in tennis heaven this week. That's for sure.
I thought so. I thought it was kind of came out of nowhere.
It definitely did. And I actually almost, in one of my true to fashion Valerie sporadic moments of impulse, I almost just went to Fort Worth to the WTA finals this week.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, I was thinking about it like a month ago, and then I had to go, no, Valerie, you're out of control.
Valerie, this is the year of jumping the gun.
You know, I just want to like go watch tennis so bad all the time.
Well, and that's a great place to start, because this whole podcast is dedicated to that amazing experience that you got to have, the amazing event that happened in your life. Tell us about it.
Well, as some people, if you have listened to previous episodes, you'll have heard that I had a moment of impulsivity and I just clicked buy on the tickets to the Laver Cup this year. When I heard that the Big Four were going to be there, I was like, this sounds like history. I want to be there. I need to be there. So I bought the tickets. And coincidentally, the tournament is only 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And
a weekend.
They only had tickets for Friday. Saturday and Sunday were already sold out. So my only option was to buy tickets on Friday. And originally I was really bummed about that, but the universe knew exactly that I needed to be there and manifested everything to unfold magically, so that not only was I getting to see the Big Four play there for the first, last, and only time that it will ever happen unless Roger comes out of retirement, but a week before the tournament, Roger decided to announce his retirement. As if anybody listened to our retirement episode, I hope you did, because we were both humongous Fed fans. So it's
click back on that last episode, because it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's always good to talk about and think about Roger and what he did for our sport, especially the fans. He's always been a fan favorite, right? He's like won the fan favorite and the player favorite award like more than anyone else for a reason. But anyway, so if you want, you can check out that episode if you already did. So then you probably heard that I just coincidentally happened to get the ticket for the day he was going to play. And it was super, super exciting. I did realize.
And the only day he was going to play.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and what are the odds? I don't know. It was just so random and so magical. So I had, I had this great idea with Philip and a couple other people I know who love Roger in tennis. We're like, we saw that Laver Cup RF hat and it was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to buy like 10. Well, I showed up on Friday, which was the first day of competition. And I was there like 3 hours before the tennis match started. But it was still 45 minutes too late because they already sold out. They already sold out
what
of
a
all the hats
heartbreak.
by the time I got there. And
What a heartbreak.
it was I was bummed. So I guess they had like a whole fan day on Thursday, the day before. I didn't know about this. And they were already selling all the merchandise the whole day before. And they,
I didn't know about that either.
yeah, they were having like a practice day and where they had like this big practice court and they were letting people go in and watch them practice. And then they also opened up all the merch booths. So I stood no chance in getting one of those hats. So that's how it started. It was a little unfortunate. I was like, no, I really want, and I didn't pack a RF hat because I thought I'm just going to buy one there. So why bring one? So then I had to like walk around the whole event without my RF hat, which felt wrong.
And there must have been so much RF merchandise everywhere, right? I mean, not to buy, but everybody wearing
everybody
it,
wearing it. Philip, I cried a few times, like just a little bit, in terms of just being like surrounded by Roger Federer, like T-shirts, hats, everything. I mean, like one in every 3 people that were there, let's say.
Yeah, it's the Church of Roger.
Yeah.
You entered the hallowed grounds.
For sure. And it was just so amazing. I would imagine it's almost like how it would feel like watching him play in Switzerland for like a Davis Cup match or something, because so many people had their gear on everywhere you turned.
Yeah. And for those who, I don't know why they wouldn't know, but you were actually in London.
Yes. Yeah. So the Laver Cup this year was in London. And so it was at the O2 Arena, which was actually really, really far from where I was staying. So, really, really far, I guess, in terms of like on the complete opposite side of London. So I was staying actually in Wimbledon, and the O2 Arena, it was like an hour train ride with no delays or busyness. Like the quickest I could get there on public transportation was like an hour. So what that meant was when I was leaving, we'll get to that later, but it was quite an It took me like 2 hours to get home.
Wow.
But yeah, I showed up. It was magical. There was Rod Laver stuff everywhere. There's just like tennis. There's Roger Federer fans everywhere. Everything was ridiculously overpriced as you would expect, but kind of some of like reasonably overpriced, let's say, right? Just enough so that you're like, oh, okay, I'll buy that.
I mean, it kind of is one good thing about Uniqlo is that I feel like their prices are not like super outrageous in general, but of course this is like, exclusive stuff right there, right? So
yes. And of course, like I had to calm down the shopaholic freak inside of me that was like
swiping.
Just like, give me one of everything, so I was able to tone it down to just getting, I got a hat, a sweater, a jacket, and a hat, a shirt, a sweater, and a jacket.
Wow.
So like one of each thing, but I almost got a beanie. I almost got another hat. I almost got like every shirt they had and 2 other sweatshirts. So that was actually somewhat tame to just buy 4 things. But
it's so funny because you and I love the RF hats, and we've been huge fans, and you've often made fun of me that, it's very unusual to see me without an RF hat, right? Like if I wear like another hat, so like an Under Armour hat that I have or something, you're like, I can't even recognize you. It's not even you.
It's true. I just feel like it's like an extension of you. It's like if you dyed your hair blonde or something, I'd be like, whoa.
Right. Whoa, that's cool. And then wear an RF hat. Then I'd be super cool.
Yeah, then you'd be like Roger back in his glory days, his early.
Oh yeah, 19.
Yes.
Yeah.
Super young.
With the streaks.
Totally.
And what's so amazing is those old Nike RF hats. Like if you look online, they're selling for like $400 or $500.
Wow. Oh,
It's crazy. So anything you bought at the Laver Cup, I'm sure in 5 years are going to be worth like mint,
Oh, well, I mean, I didn't really get anything Roger related at the Laver Cup because it was all sold out. So the only stuff I have at the Laver Cup just says Laver Cup 2022.
Yeah, but just that, because it was like, that's the day, that was it.
Yeah.
So take us back. Like, when did it happen and you realized, oh my gosh, he's going to retire? Because I think it was like late September when he talked about it. And we covered that in the last podcast, but that feeling of, wow, he's going to retire, and you're heading towards his retirement. What was that like for you?
Well, I think he announced that about 8 days before Laver Cup.
Yeah.
Something.
Which was shocking.
Yeah, it was super shocking.
Oh my gosh, on Twitter, it was crazy.
Yeah, and we talked about how, like, we were both so... I'm, of course, the first person I messaged was you. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, there was, honestly... It's like a part of my life is over, a really significant part. Relationships have been ruined over this love affair with Roger in tennis, So it's not just random thing, at least in my life story. And in my life story, there were many arguments over why I was choosing Roger over like a family event or an important obligation. So for me, it was just very fitting. I was really glad that I got to be there. When he retired, it was bittersweet. There was, of course, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss watching him play so much. Because that's really what it is like, it's the magic and the joy of watching him play. He was so good. He made the game beautiful and fun to watch, at like a level we hadn't seen before when he came along. So there was the element of sadness to no longer get to experience that. But on a personal level, there was a sigh of relief in terms of just being like, oh, like maybe I can have normal human relationships now. That won't be, I don't know, sidelined for Roger, and then I'll get in trouble. So there's a light at the end of the tunnel here, I guess.
I think I felt very surprised that he was in good health and good enough to play, and actually was like at a fairly decent level in his tennis playing, because somehow it just came on us that he was making this decision kind of rashly, because we knew that he was going to do Laver Cup, kind of try out his knee, see how he felt, and then he would play Basel. So he had committed to playing Basel. And so it felt like, okay, this is his road to recovery. And so for him to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to draw the line right here, must have meant that like he could barely walk, his knee didn't work, he was afraid of, damaging it. And so I thought it was going to be like last year's Laver Cup, where he walked up in crutches and he could barely, stand straight. And I was really afraid for him and what it meant. And we were even saying, is he even going to be at the Laver Cup now?
Yeah.
So it was such a dramatic shift in my understanding of where Roger was in his playing career and his tennis and his health, and of course all of us were saying, well, gosh, I mean, all we want for him is knees that work and a good life, and and no repercussions in his post-retirement life. But in that moment when he announced it, I think it was September 15th, it really felt scary to me that he was not in great shape.
Yeah.
Did you have any of that?
Well, it was definitely a surprise. I like you thought, there was a comeback coming, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. And then after the doubles match, he was like saying he couldn't believe he even made it through the match. He didn't even think he would be able to get through the doubles match.
He said that live.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it seemed yes, it must have been pretty bad. Or in terms of just being like him being really scared that it wasn't going to hold up.
Yeah.
And he
And
said he definitely 100% did not feel he could do singles at all.
yes, yeah. Well, it was such a sigh of relief, I think, around the world for Federer fans when he posted a video of himself practicing. I think it was on Instagram, and he was hitting the ball, and it was just like he looked great, you know. And he was just practicing singles too. He wasn't practicing doubles, but he was hitting the ball. He looked fairly casual, but you know, Roger always looks casual when he's practicing. But it was really exciting to actually seeing him close to form, I thought, you know, which was, wow, really exciting. Yeah, super happy that he was healthy. His knee was working. He looked fine. And it wasn't anything like all the fears that had been built up in my head.
Yeah, and I actually thought he played pretty well at the Laver Cup, but from what I hear from other professional analysts like myself, no, from from some of the analysts and commentators, is that they like really could tell that his movement was hampered. Maybe it was just the excitement of being in the moment, and also I thought, Nadal, love you, I really do, but you did not play well. He really did. He just made so many errors. Me and all the people around me kept going like, he's ruining. Like he messed that up. He messed that up.
Throw his partner under the bus.
Totally. But yeah. So I mean, I thought Roger looked well and played well considering he hadn't played all year. But apparently, like the entire time he was concerned, and that's probably why others who weren't lost in the magic of the moment like I was were able to notice that he wasn't moving the same.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? Were you able to tell?
I didn't. I really couldn't. No, I didn't get to watch like the whole match, you know, all the way through like you. I wasn't sitting in a seat, but you know, watching in highlights and stuff, I didn't really notice like, oh, he doesn't look good. He's not. You know, I remember like 2013 when he had back issues, you could really see that he could not serve well, you know?
Yeah, I thought he served pretty good. I thought he actually just played pretty good
I did too.
in general.
Yeah,
But
it was really exciting.
I had a blast. I thought the match was really exciting and really fun. The tournament itself had really great energy. Obviously, I can't compare it because I haven't been to one where it's not like everyone knows this is Roger's last day. So maybe it was just extra spectacular. But even like the day session match with the others just seemed really like high energy, full crowd, really, really cool experience, you know, seeing the teams come out, Team World, Team Europe with Borg and McEnroe, and everyone's sitting on the bench, you know, rooting for their teammates. Although I will say Team Europe almost was like never on the bench that day. I made some friends, Anne and Jonathan. I doubt they listen because I don't think I properly told them about the podcast. And then I was going to tell them and exchange information after we left, but there was a whole debacle when we were leaving where security was trying to get us out of there, and we were like, no. So then we got kind of like separated, but it's kind of a long story. But anywho, I made friends with these lovely people next to me, and we were all always like commenting like, where is Team Europe? Like nobody's on the bench. It would just be like Djokovic and Berrettini alone, and everyone else, all the other 4 or 5 players were like in the back in the locker room or doing something, you know. But it was really like a fun atmosphere and a really cool format. Like the tournament itself is just a cool and fun format, and that's probably why it works so well.
It really works, doesn't it? I mean, I feel like it's so well watched. It creates so much buzz. I mean, there are a lot of other exhibition events that happen, but boy, this one is, I think has to be the best exhibition, especially that happens yearly. It just is so well done. And, of course, like you said, the top 4 players were there, and, of course, the Roger retirement. But, that aside, I feel like Laver Cup has become this really have-to moment, right?
Oh, no.
Can you hear me?
I lost you.
Oh, okay. That's fine. I just said it seems like Laver Cup has really become this have-to moment, this buzzworthy moment.
Yeah, the Laver Cup is just really great. I know they're trying to get, I think they're trying to get ATP ranking points involved, but it definitely isn't lacking any funding, and they pay the players well. And there's definitely the draw and attraction there. And actually, I wonder now that like Roger's retired, if at some point he'll be the coach of Team Europe, down the road.
Right. That I think he would love to do, right? I mean, you can see him coaching as it is right now as a player.
Yes.
He just loves it.
Yeah. So, and hopefully he'll like do some commentating. I was listening to, gosh, I don't know who it was. It might have been Pam Shriver. Actually, I don't remember who it was, but somebody was saying they really do think that Roger will get into like commentating or something along those lines.
Yeah, there was a rumor about Roger doing some kind of BBC thing in the future, maybe for Wimbledon.
That would be so great.
Yeah, I was like, I wonder if that would really happen. So there were so many magical moments for me watching the Laver Cup from afar. From that night, that Friday night, it went viral. It was so huge. So I wanted to know what it felt like for you to be there. It was basically after the match, right? After all the tennis, when he started sharing about his retirement and what it meant, and then he just started breaking down and crying, and all the other players around him were crying. And, how did that feel? What was that like being there?
It was pretty intense. I mean, I think everyone was crying in the stands, and it's true. Like, I mean, anyone who watched the interview could see, like, he could barely get a sentence out. He was really, really emotional, which made everybody really, really emotional. But it was quite magical. And when they picked him up and like carried him, I remember I was trying to get the video of that, and it's so funny. Like I was trying to take some videos, but also like I really wanted to just be in the moment. So I would like hit the button and kind of like hold my phone down and not really pay attention. And so, of course, I totally missed the moment because I thought I hit record, but really I was like hitting stop record. So it was like, it was all backwards, and I totally missed the moment of him carrying him. But it's all good. Yeah. I saw it happen and I was there. And it was really sweet, of course, like with Rafa and him, and then the team like around them on the bench was just so sweet and endearing. I will say that I felt everybody was like forever clapping and screaming for him. But I really, really like deep down wanted like a Roger chant or something, like some sort of chant to commemorate the situation or but nobody would start it, and there was like a couple people near me we were trying to like yell Roger, Roger, and it just like it wasn't catching. Everybody was just so like clap happy though, like clapping in rhythm forever for like an hour straight. Everyone's just standing and clapping. But it was still really nice. It was great when like Mirka and the kids all came out and his parents, and it was just such a sweet thing. So, normally when you go to a sporting event, people leave before the end, or a concert, right? Anywhere where there's 20,000 plus people.
Sure.
There's 10,000 people who usually leave early, right? Because they're trying to like beat the crowd or whatever. But this particular event, right, everyone was like, no, I am staying because I want to see what's going on. And we were there until 1 a.m. I think the match ended like at like midnight or 11:45 or something along those lines. And so then they had the whole ceremonies. Then some lovely lady came out and sang, but everyone's like, why is she here? What is she singing? And when is she going to stop?
That was Ellie Goulding.
Yes.
who
Lovely
sang, yeah.
human. Very glad for her to have success. But it was quite a long song and thing, and it was very strange. It just seemed like it wasn't, we weren't really sure why it fit there, let's just say. And when I say we, I'm just talking about the people that were sitting around me, because we spent all day sitting next to each other. We kind of got to know each other, and we would talk and chat about things. But also, when I listened to the tennis podcast, they were brutal about Ellie Goulding. Is that her name? They were just,
Oh no!
yeah.
Really?
I mean, just in terms of like not her as an artist or a person or anything, just like the moment and how it was like a 13-minute like thing that just felt really kind of like strange. Like, what are we doing here? Is this a concert or is this like a match? And like a
So it felt
celebration
long.
with the retirement.
Yeah.
But it was great.
It was during that song, though, at least on videos, during that song when everyone came down to Roger, like Mirka and the kids and everything. So was that like at the end, or was that in the middle of the song?
No,
or?
it kind of like ended with the song, and then everyone came down and were hugging and talking to him. But it was definitely like a long and drawn out thing. At least maybe it just felt that way when we were there.
Yeah.
And then it also, I
Yeah.
think from what I gather from the small handful of people I talked to and the tennis podcast as well, like trying to figure out what the connection was to what the songs, like the singer, the songs, the message, and Roger and retirement. Or if it was just like, hey, let's just book a musical act and get them here for entertainment. I know that Roger said he knew nothing about anything that was going to be happening.
Yeah.
So it definitely wasn't him and part of that. They also played like some cool videos, up on the screen with people talking,
tribute videos,
talking about
yeah.
Roger. That was really cool. And it was just really sweet. Roger even did like a victory lap and like walked all around the tennis court and like waved
Oh, wow.
to everybody.
Yeah.
Like his final time, and just soaked it all in. It was great. Sorry. Yeah.
Dog's like, oh yeah, sorry.
It was really great. So we all got to just, have our moment and say goodbye and thank him. There were so many thank yous. People were screaming, because I think that's just how tennis feels, right? Thank you, Roger,
Yeah.
for everything you gave us.
And did you feel like that? Did you feel like it was like perfect closure for you?
Did I feel like it was perfect? What?
Perfect closure for you?
Yes, 100%. I mean, man, if being there didn't give me closure, then wow, there must be something. Like, I don't know what more I could ask for. It was so magical, I just kept thinking, I can't believe I'm so lucky
Right, to be
to
there.
be here. Like, what in the heck
Yeah.
did I do right in my life that this moment is happening?
Right.
And also feeling, though, I don't want to say entitled. That's a really bad word, but like feeling really deserving as well. Just like, of course I should be here. I'm a ridiculously huge, like I said, I've ruined very important relationships in my life over my love for Roger. So, of course I should be here. Of course this like makes sense that I should be here cheering him on and adoring him, because I really can never quite put into words like what Roger's tennis just has done in my life. It's almost like someone who goes through a rough time and says, this album really gave me strength and courage, or, something along those lines, where music really touches and inspires people.
Yeah.
there's definitely something that happened when I started watching Roger play tennis that made me. I got shot with Cupid's arrow in terms of being birthing the obsession with tennis. I love tennis. It's like the best sport in the world. I honestly can't say enough good things. I can't get enough tennis ever. And so
Could you see the other players and their reaction to him, and how did the crowd react to the other players? And
yeah, I mean everyone was really just kind of like in the moment. It just felt like I think everyone was like feeling really special and like it just felt magical. Obviously Rafa was having his own like I don't know, spiritual, emotional journey. He was definitely like some sort of existential crisis. No, he obviously was having a very vivid reaction to what was happening, and the emotions overcame him as well. It definitely seemed like Djokovic and Murray were more respectful, but not so emotionally invested in terms of, didn't seem like they were holding back tears or anything. I will say that not only was I just lucky enough to be there and lucky enough that I randomly got only Friday tickets, but I also randomly got pretty dang good tickets too. I was only like 7 rows up. So the action was pretty good from where I was at. I could see everybody really well.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, I think just like, and maybe obviously I can't speak for anybody else, but what it felt like was that everybody was having that same, like, I can't believe I'm here experiencing this type of like moment all together. Awe,
Which just shows how much respect they have for Roger Federer, right? I mean, that they knew this was such a special and important moment in the history of tennis, as well as the man, Roger.
For sure. I mean, I think what Roger, like Serena's just retired this year, and that must have been really amazing and magical and all of these wonderful things as well. But I think and she's brought so much to the sport of tennis in maybe even a more impactful way. One could probably easily argue. However, like it's what Roger brings. Roger brought just this special, he's the beloved, it really is our, like, I don't want to say he's our tennis god, because that's just really, it's like,
well, voted fan favorite, right? 13 times in a row. And
yeah.
Just so well loved, as you
said. The
said.
way he was received and viewed in the tennis world is just something that we haven't seen before, right?
Yeah. And I would say in all of sporting world.
Yes.
There's very few sporting icons as iconic as Roger Federer.
It's true. And then to also just have to be so loved, but also to be such a good person and humanitarian. Like some people may be really, really popular worldwide, but might have some questionable personal things that they do. But he's just got such a squeaky clean record, like through and through. Minus teenager days with rackets, but I think everyone kind of forgives that, because what teenager doesn't smash a racket, right?
Well, and it's part of the mystique that you overcame those errors of your ways of your youth, and that he matured into something greater, which is part of the ethos, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Were you able to get close to any of the other players? Did you have any other random like moments or anything that night?
No, I watched 3 other matches. They were all singles, and they were decent matches. Pretty good. I would say they weren't like in 2 years, I'm going to be like, who did I see? I don't remember, I'd be like, I know I saw Murray. And I'll probably forget the other players that I saw, but, in time. So it wasn't that crazy, spectacular or memorable. It was worth only 1 point. No. But yeah, it was, and then there wasn't like I didn't go up and try and get autographs or anything like that. But what was really cool is, because all of the team players were sitting on the benches during the match, kids kept running down behind them and like asking for autographs, like basically throughout the entire match. So, Djokovic and all of them really were just like up signing so many autographs for like during the matches.
Oh, that's so nice.
It was really cool and neat. And I'm sure like if I wanted, I could have went over there. I just, wasn't really interested. But it did seem like nice for being such a big event and a big arena. It also felt intimate. The indoorness also was my very first indoor tennis match, so that might also be why it felt intimate. But it also did seem like we had some like more access to the players, I guess. And then
it must have been really loud, as you were saying, indoor and everybody clapping.
It was pretty loud. I mean, honestly, I thought it could be louder, but that's just because nothing was ever going to be good enough for what I wanted for Roger. Unless the building, crumbled from our passion, it wasn't going to be enough. But yeah, everyone stayed back to the very end, till security had to walk around and kick everyone out. And they were like,
they just wanted to soak in the glow.
Yeah, totally. So security starts making their rounds and telling everyone, hey, you gotta take a hike. And me and my friends, Anna and Jonathan, they're from Dublin. They were really nice. They play tennis and their kids do too. We were just like pretending we didn't see the security guard and totally ignoring him. And he was like, come on for like 2 minutes. And then they finally listened and walked away, but I just didn't. I was just standing there because I'm like, I could still see Roger. He's still standing there. I'm not leaving. And so then me and the security guards were having some very interesting conversations about them asking me to please leave and me being like, dude, Roger's still standing there. Like, what's the big deal? Just like go bother someone else. I spent a lot of money to be here. This is my last moment with him and you're ruining it. And they were like, well, there's curfews at 11 and we're getting fined. And I'm like, well, it's 1. So you already got fined. So like, what's another like 5 minutes? Like, big deal. So it was kind of like a fun little conversation of us arguing whether or not, I needed to leave. And then in the middle of our argument, Roger actually walked off the stage. So I was like, all right, fine. Now I'll leave. And then I went, and then like me and 20,000 other people walked to the Canary Wharf Tube Underground station, and it was insane, Philip. And you know what? Let me tell you, I was a little anxious or scared. Like, I definitely thought, oh my God, there's so many people in here. This can this can turn bad really fast, because people were like packed like sardines in the station and then in the trains. And with the recent tragedy in Seoul,
Korea,
with over 150 people being like trampled and suffocated from a crowd surge, like it just made it more, I guess, I just feel for them, because I was like, when I was in that crowd, there was a point where the escalator going down was just funneling people down and there was no space. And it was like, what is going to happen? Like, there's nowhere for people to go. They're going to start crushing each other. Thankfully, there was an operator, like a security person, and they were able to stop the escalator like right on time. So then people weren't because otherwise everyone is on the escalator, has no choice but to go down and get kind of like pushed into a crowd of people where they can't fit. But yeah, so it was, I thought I was going to be there forever. I was able to somehow magically get on the second train out. And then honestly, for like 45 minutes, I was in a train with so many people, no personal space. I mean, we were like just in there like sardines, people like just sitting on each other's lap and just super packed. And I was like, this is really uncomfortable. And then taking like, I think it was like 2:30 by the time I ended up a little bit like closer to Wimbledon. And then I had to get a bus, and the bus, once I got like a little bit further from city center, then I was able to find a bus that wasn't super, super crowded.
How long were you in that train?
For at least 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that was very uncomfortable.
It was really uncomfortable. And of course, too, like not only just all of that stuff, but I was just like thinking, oh my God, I'm going to get COVID. Like again, because there's just, there's no way around getting whatever germs every single person in here has.
Wow.
But yeah, it was cool. It was intense. I ended up so I was going to go back the next morning because they said they were going to refill the merchandise booths. So I was like, I'm going to get back. I'm going to go back there at 7 a.m. I'm going to be the first in line, or like at least the first 50 or 100 in line. Get us our hats. Man, I got home at 4:30. And then by the
4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, or it was 4, I think. 4, and then by the time by the time I got all my clothes off, wow, that sounds really like into my pajamas, let's say, ready for bed. It was 4:30, and I'm just laying there, and I'm amped out of my mind because not only did I just have the most magical night of my life, but I just had to kind of had to be in survival mode and very like alert for my travel home. So then I just was super amped, and I just laid there probably till like 5:30 before I fell asleep. And
Wow.
and then my alarm went off at 7, and I was like, hats. No, I don't care. I have to sleep. I was like, I can't do it.
It's not worth it.
You know what? Well, it would have been kind of worth it, but my concern was like, if I get sick, because this tennis was at the beginning of my 2-week trip. It was the second day of a 2-week trip. So I was like, if I get sick from staying up all night, I'm going to regret it for like the rest of the trip, right? So I was like, I just really have to rest. So I think I slept until like 3 p.m.
Wow.
But
what an amazing journey. I can't believe it. Like you said, you're so blessed to have been there. You and all the people that were there, you know, what an experience to be there on the retirement of Roger Federer. It's just incredible.
Yeah. I think everyone kind of just was looking around at each other like with that, like, can you believe we're here? Like, oh my gosh, like how did we get like so lucky? Because I think, like I said, when I bought my tickets in July, it was already almost sold out. So most of the people that were there, or at least the people who originally bought their tickets, like bought it before they knew. I have to imagine many of them sold their tickets for a lot of money. Because why not?
Yeah.
But I do think that there was still like a really large percentage of people who were just there coincidentally, like that just got lucky. Were like, I wanted to come to this event, and oh my gosh, it just so happens to be the last match of his career. Professional match, so he would say, even though it's technically an exhibition. But yeah, so cool, so magical. I did not record anything while I was there. I thought about it a couple times, but I made so many friends and I was talking to so many people that it just didn't happen.
I'm so glad you got to go, and I really feel like it's something that was such a blessing for you to be there because I do know how much you love Roger, and I do know how faithful you've been a fan way even before we met, and just, brought us together. So I'm just so excited that you were there. It's so awesome. And even from afar, watching the videos and the highlights over and over and over, especially the moment, where Mirka goes and hugs Roger and he kisses her, and, he's talking about how much he couldn't have done it without her. I mean, that was just so moving. It was insanely good to see that and to have that there for all of us fans to feel that moment. And it felt like closure. It felt like something that allowed us to release Roger and not be disappointed that it just ended,
For sure, because it was so close to being like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Years of waiting.
Right. Because wasn't he like bageled in Wimbledon or something as his last match or something like that?
It was not very competitive.
And that would go down in history as like his last, match, and couldn't do that. I posted that video of Roger and Mirka, hugging each other, and we put it on our LoveSetMatch Instagram. It has over 100,000 views.
Nice. Well, you got all them followers.
Well, me and Andy, yeah, she's just awesome at helping with that. But it just that moment resonated so much, with everyone, and it just was like, yeah, I mean, I can feel it even just watching it, and just to have that very intimate moment with them, which we never get, right? Because Mirka never does interviews, she never really shows, and especially when Charlene and Mila were crying, and he was saying, "Don't cry, I'm happy," but they couldn't help but cry.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, those very personal family moments, those intimate moments that we got to share, and vicariously feel like we're family because we love him so much. It was just amazing. So grateful for the Laver Cup, for putting this all together. And I'm not sure that he would have had just as special a moment if it was like Paris or Basel or something.
It wouldn't have been. I mean, it really worked out well that it was like his tournament, so he could kind of do, whatever he wanted, technically.
Yeah, and they were really gearing everything for him, and I think a regular tournament might not have done that. They would have been that moment as important as they could, but the whole tournament is thinking about the whole tournament, right? They're not just thinking about Roger. And even all the players are really just there thinking about Roger, right? And so if it was at a regular tournament, they would just be thinking about their matches and their recovery and all of that stuff. So in so many ways, it was so perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really was.
Great. And then your flight home after the Laver Cup, where did you go?
I hung out in London for a while. I did a quick trip into Paris and saw some friends.
Did you see Serena while you were
I
in
did
Paris?
not. I did not, unfortunately.
I know she loves Paris.
She does. I didn't see anyone. I saw some friends, not tennis players, and then I did a little bit longer in London. I actually was working on this trip, so most of the time I was actually working. So,
but you're working in Paris. I mean, my gosh.
Well, let me tell you, it wasn't as glorious as I had it in my head. So I had it in my head.
Let me dream.
I was dreaming and scheming on the way there, thinking I'd be on my laptop at a coffee shop, like eating, I don't know, a baguette and an espresso, like looking at the Eiffel Tower. But what really ended up happening was
Valerie in Paris.
It was freezing cold. It was raining.
Oh,
it was raining,
no.
and it was so windy that it was breaking my umbrella. That I just went to my hotel and cuddled in bed because I was so cold. And I just worked on my laptop in bed and was like, I can't believe I'm in my hotel room. I just spent $300 on a train ticket to Paris to sit in a hotel bed and work. It was kind of lame, but there was some really nice moments. I actually did really, like, I went to the Eiffel Tower. I saw some friends. We walked around because the first day I was there, it actually was a beautiful day. It was perfect. But then the second day I was there, it was just total garbage, and it was like a wash. So, but anyway, yeah, it was really nice. On my way home from London, on the flight, I made a friend. This guy who sat next to me, he just so happened to like see, what was I must have been wearing a Roger or something, or Laver Cup, or maybe he saw me looking at pictures. Somehow we started talking about Roger, tennis, and Laver Cup. And we must have talked for like 4 hours of the flight, all about Roger Federer
how cool.
and tennis in general. We talked about, he was a fan. He knew everyone. He could really go deep about every player and tournaments. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, you're so cool. So it really helped make the flight go by quicker.
How nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
And it was great. And it was also really nice to, like, you know, be like, so freshly telling someone about the experience. So it was cool.
Oh, yeah.
He was very nice.
Wow. So even the flight home was like a blessing.
Yes, for sure.
So
Definitely
nice.
a special trip, and can't wait to go back. Peeps, I have some friends who are like, "You're gonna move to London, huh?" I'm like, I want to.
Really? Is it your favorite now?
I just love it. I do really love it, but I don't know that I would. I mean, I can't move anywhere. I have too many dependents here.
Your animals,
Yes.
you mean? Yeah. And as if that wasn't enough with tennis, you also went down to San Diego recently. Can you tell us about that?
I did. For those of you who are not aware, there's San Diego Open. It's for the men, I think it's a 500, and for the women, I think it's a 250. But don't quote me on that. If you really care how many ranking points it's worth, I suggest you Google it. So they hold the tournament not at the same, it's not simultaneous. So the men, I think, is in the beginning of the year, and the women is in October. I think it was October, right?
Yeah. October 10th through the 16th. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was kind of just whimsical. Because the top 8 players were going to be, or actually not just the top 8 players, the Guadalajara tournament, which I think is a WTA 1000, just happened last week. And then the WTA Tour Finals was happening, and there was still several people vying for the last spots, so they were still in the running. And because everything still was so close, it was like a great way for a lot of the top players to get last minute matches in, really close to Guadalajara and Fort Worth, Texas. So 17 of the top 20 players were at the San Diego Open, like probably the first and only time it will ever happen like that. And it felt a little bit like one of those magical moments where I was just kind of like, there's so many amazing top tennis players, like just 2 hours away. Why am I not going? So, and it was $20 the first day I went because it was qualifying. So I was like,
wow,
oh gosh,
that's
$20 I could go
cheap.
down there and see some qualifiers. And we know how good the qualifiers are. Like, right? Emma Raducanu won a slam. And there are people there are journey women players who may have just gotten injured and they're playing qualifying, even though they're like former top 50 of the world. So there's a lot of quality to be had in qualifying. In fact, Donna Vekic, who made it to the final, she came through qualifying. So,
oh, wow.
I thought, I'll go down $20. I'll watch some qualifying. There'll be some good people. In fact, Jill Teichmann was in qualifying, the Swiss player who's pretty decent. Good watch.
Oh, yeah. I like her.
And I think, I don't know. There's a lot of them. I won't list the whole draw, but So I go down there and I walk right in. It's super small. It's a cute, tiny, quaint little country club. And I walk in and like Garbina Muguruza was like walking right next to me. I was like, oh my God. I start freaking out. I don't know why I started freaking out. Like I've been around a lot of tennis players, but I think I was just so shocked. Like I couldn't believe she was like
so close,
right there in the lobby, just standing there like it's nothing. And there was probably only like 300 people on the grounds. So it was like so intimate and it's just seemed really nice. So that was a good start. And then basically I walked around, I bought a t-shirt and some drinks. And then I headed to the practice courts and there was Garbina and Conchita Martinez, and then Sloane Stevens came out and started practicing with her. And so I was like, oh, I'm not even going to watch qualifying. I'm just going to sit here and watch them practice. So they have these great practice courts where you can basically just sit right on the court on these concrete like steps.
Oh, similar to
it's
Indian
just
Wells,
like Indian Wells. Yeah. Like the lower courts. Yeah. Just like that. And so we just sat there and I just sat right next to Conchita and Muguruza, Garbina and Sloane, and their teams. And I was just like eavesdropping on everything they were saying. Like Sloane was asking her, it was Garbina's birthday as well. So some of the fans that were like sitting there watching, like sang her happy birthday. And then, I was just basically like listening to what Sloane and her were talking about. It wasn't anything really major. She was talking about like a vacation spot and like, have you been there and do you like it? And so.
Because it was like only like 20 rows deep or something like that, right? It was very shallow. So you were super close to the court.
Yes. So actually on the practice court, it was just like I was on the court. Basically, right?
Wow. Wow.
The stadium itself, was really small. It only held, I think they said like 3,000 people.
That is so cool. We have to definitely do that every year.
Yes.
It's the same as going to Indian Wells, but a lot cheaper and easier to get to.
Well, I will say Indian Wells is closer a little bit. But it definitely didn't have the parking nightmares of Indian Wells or the pricing of Indian Wells. But it also doesn't have the field, right? The men and the women and all the top players. But for sure, like next year, more planned out. I'm dragging you. We're going to San Diego. And I recommend to anyone listening who's in the SoCal area to definitely check it out. I will say though, like as the tournament progressed, the tickets started to get a little like what I would say, I don't want to say it's outrageous, but for considering the stands were half empty, like I think that other people were like, whoa, because it was like $145, I think, for the final day and semifinals day. And when you think about it, that's really not much, but nobody, like half the stands were empty. So I think you just need to like know your crowd or something, know your audience.
Yeah. And who did you see play?
So I went back again down a second time because I had so much fun the first time. So the first time I watched them practice, then I watched Bianca Andreescu practice for a little while. I saw Beatrice Haddad Maya practicing, Madison Keys, Coco Gauff. I think it might have been Rybakina, but I'm not totally sure. I saw your girl Pliskova. And then when I went back the next week, I went on quarterfinals and I saw they should have been great matches. One was great, one was not great. I saw Swiatek beat down Coco Gauff pretty convincingly. And then after that, it was Collins and Badosa. And that was amazing. Really, really. I think it was straight sets, but it was really competitive. And they were hitting that ball so hard. I was like, wow, I can't believe they can hit the ball so hard.
Yeah, I watched that match on online, and wow, they were just going at it, and the level was super high, and Collins was coming up with these like insane, winner shots after 3, 4, 5 rally match points or points in the game. So it was incredible how well they were playing.
She's so fun to watch.
Yeah, and she got really far too. That was awesome. Collins, I mean.
I'm having you cut out a bit again.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Collins got really far in that tournament, so that was really exciting. But did you get to see Swiatek hit at all?
Well,
you saw the Coco Gauff match, right?
Yeah, I saw her play Coco Gauff, and she's a spectacular. She's amazing.
Yeah. What was it about her that was so impressive?
It was like watching like the smarts of Hingis with like the flexibility of Kleisters and the like offense to defense of like a Djokovic or something, and just like the consistency and the of like a Djokovic. She's just relentless. It's really fun to like watch that brand of tennis.
Yeah. Is she one of your favorite players now?
Oh, I absolutely love watching her play. Yeah. What about you?
I think so. I mean, I think in a way that she's kind of changing the game because her winning ways are so undeniable. And how many tournaments has she won now this year? I think it's
8.
6 or 8. Yeah. So it's just amazing that she can just recover, go to the next tournament, be super solid, be maybe a little bit of trouble here or there with like a 1-set drop or something, but just take it to them in the final. She always seems to raise her level in the final. It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
So there's something about her championship spirit that is so attractive. But I also think that her style of play is kind of unusual, like the way that she has an extreme grip and she's able to like swat the ball. She doesn't really go low to high in the traditional sense. She really is just attacking the ball kind of straight on with a lot of spin.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of really interesting technique changes that help her win. And she's almost always open stance, right? I mean, just takes it on both sides, open stance. So just really cool. And I think it's going to set a precedence for how people play tennis in the future because it's just seeing her be able to react to a ball and get there so fast. Her footwork is so good that she's there at the ball and ready to swing. And her swing is so compact and short that she can just take it on and just do it over and over and over. It just doesn't seem like she's troubled.
Yeah, it's super good. It'll be interesting to see, how I think she'll finish the year well if she doesn't win the finals. Like, I think she'll at least, I mean, she just beat Kazakina, I think 2-2. But if for some reason she doesn't win, like, I still think she's had an amazing year. But I'm interested to see how she can follow it up next year,
Yep.
After the off season, it always seems like, because I think with women we see it more where people get real hot and then they just they don't stay hot for consecutive year after year after year, like we've been seeing with the men. So I hope she can, just because it'd be great to have some consistency. I do like the parity of women's tennis, but I also would love to see a little domination. And then if she can dominate, it will only force others to get better, right? Like they'll have to rise to the occasion. So it just makes the sport better when people have to get better.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that because I do have that feeling like, oh, there's no one dominant woman, and yet she has won pretty dominantly throughout the year. So it just is taking me a longer time to really put my faith and believe that there is someone who is kind of dominant. I mean, her winning streak matching Serena. And, so it's really cool that she's able to do that. But it also says a lot for all the other women that their level is pretty high.
Yes. Really does.
So kind of cool.
I mean, there's so many just amazing women on the tour right now. I'm actually Coco Gauff and Caroline Garcia just started. That's going to be a good match.
Very interesting. Yeah. Very interesting.
I was hearing there's a lot of musical chairs happening with coaches right now on the WTA. I think Garcia lost her coach recently. Andreescu's coach, I think, just left her like this weekend or something.
Wow.
And there's more. I think like Tursunov. I don't remember who he used to coach, but he switched players as well. Who does? Do you know who he coaches? I don't remember.
No, I can't remember off the top of my head.
But yeah, so I think that should be interesting as well, like to see next year, because there's going to be a lot of coach shifts over the off season.
Yeah, so, and what happened to Naomi Osaka?
Yes, right?
Where is she? Yeah, lots upcoming in the new year, and we'll have to do our Christmas podcast and talk about some holiday gifts and all of that stuff. I just got this really cool little tool that allows you to put like a stencil on a tennis ball. So
oh, how cool.
I'm going to post a picture on the blog page, but you can also see it on my Instagram, Philip Kim PK on Instagram. And yeah, it's really fun, and it actually does it really well. Super clean, and I really like it. So that's kind of fun.
Nice.
If you ever, are mixing up balls, but it's called Ball Trace. Kind of fun. But yeah, we should do our list of like really fun Christmas gifts for tennis friends, right?
Sounds good.
Valerie, thank you so much for sharing your story, and I just have been waiting to hear what it was like to be there and to hear your experience. And I just am so envious that you got there, but I'm so happy for you because I love you so much, and I know how much it means for you to have that moment. I feel like you had it for us.
I mean, I felt like I was having it for everyone. Like I felt like I really did. I was like sitting there going, feel this for everyone. Like, take it in, soak it in for the team, and I feel really weird, like rambling about it for an hour right now. But I hope that like, if anyone actually does listen, that you got to feel a little bit like you were there, because definitely, I had people there with me and with my spirit. And I was really just trying to soak it in and then like give off that love and energy back to Roger that I know that like those who wish they could be there would want him to feel from them,
It really did seem like he felt very loved, and it was nice for him as a moment to move on as well. Yeah, and those videos. Oh. Those videos, Valerie, they're so beautiful.
Yes.
So beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Tennis Pal, for being an awesome sponsor and the best app to find people to play tennis with. Thank you for allowing us to share this great story and this very personal human story about someone who loves Roger Federer and was actually able to be there. It's just so great. And I feel like that's what tennis is. It's these moments, these moments of enjoyment in tennis. Whoops, I haven't had that happen before.
Time to go.
Yes. Love you, Valerie. We'll talk soon.
Oh, have a great night, Philip. Hey, Philip.
Hey.
May all your serves
be aces. Thank you.